Most of you have possibly heard of esports, aka playing video games competitively. But you probably didn't know that it is one of the fastest growing sports in the world. Some of the most popular esports games include League of Legends, Smite, Dota 2, CSGO, StarCraft 2 and Overwatch. There are several tournaments for all these different games, the most notable being League of Legends World Championship and the ones held by Major League Gaming and Intel Extreme Masters. The biggest tournament by far, however, is the International with a prize pool of nearly $25 million. There aren't many traditional leagues in esports yet, like there are in stick and ball sports, with the exception of Overwatch League, which premiered in 2017. There are now over 380 million esports viewers, 165 million of which tune in at least once a month. Esports is now as an industry worth over $900 million, where the best players have a chance of becoming millionaires. Now, let's take a closer look at the pros and cons of this sport, and finally, let's look at the future of this phenomenon that is esports. First, let's start with the pros. A huge part of the appeal of esports is accessibility. You can start playing esports with just a computer and network connection. And for mobile esports, you just need your smartphone. Esports is also a highly social sport. With chat integration, viewers can be part of the audience even though they aren't physically at the stadium. While following a match on Twitch, you can cheer for your team in the chat. In Clash Royale, for example, the audience interaction has been taken for account inside the game itself. The audience can watch the matches directly from the app and throw virtual confetti onto the battlefield. Also, I want to mention that in esports the risk of injury isn't as high as in other sports like ice hockey and football. Esports never get stale because the games are updated constantly and new updates make every tournament different due to players having to adapt to these updates and develop new strategies. In my opinion, esports are exciting to watch as there are constantly things happening. Because of the round structure, for example in Counter-Strike, small victories are constantly on the line. In addition, many esports simply look cool. I mean, just look at this.
My God! He's got the smoke in his hand, and the smoke is down towards B bomb site. The Rapper's been stopped. There are advantages for Cloud9 now. 5 versus 4, 3 taken down. Automatic on the high ground, dropping off. They need to hold construction. Are there flashes there? Will they push? They will re-aggress. Down goes one of Spicer. Guardian and the Raid remain. Automatic pushing through. It's Guardian versus 2.
Can he do it again? He's been in this position before to win phase around a very important, very crucial one. Can he deny Cloud9? We saw it from this position before. He cannot miss a single shot. Guardian waits patiently as Cloud9 sets the push up. Oh! Oh, it's happened! They made it work! Cloud9 are your E-League Major champions!
Of course, esports has many cons as well. Firstly, enthusiastic players tend to sit in front of a computer for long periods at a time, which in contrast to traditional sports isn't very healthy. Esports players tend to retire early, since practicing up to 12 hours every day can cause serious burnouts. Also, when players get older, their fast reflexes, which are vital for them, get slower, which makes succeeding and thus earning a living more difficult. There is also a problem considering private enterprises. For example, Dota 2 is fully owned by Valve, thus giving them full control of the sport. On the contrary, no one owns basketball, for example. Game updates can also pose a problem if they change the game too much. It could cost players who have mastered the current version of the game go back to the starting point. This can cause frustration among the players and also uncertainty about the future of the sport. Gaming evolves fast. New technologies constantly change the way we play and what we accept from games. Thus, it can be difficult to create a game that can stand the test of time and sustain a long-lasting esports community. Like in any other sport, esports also suffers from doping scandals. A problem that, however, is entirely unique to esports is cheating. There are many cases where even the top players have tried using cheat programs to help them win. Because esports is still a relatively young sport, there aren't many structures and organizations in place that could confirm financial security for players, and if you don't belong to the very best, you really can't earn a living in esports at the moment. In the future, we will see esports as a regular career opportunity, and it might even be taught in schools across the world. There already exist some esports school programs, and many more will surely arise. Schools could even have their own teams, which could form different leagues. I also must mention the possibilities of artificial intelligence. In the future, you could use it to train athletes, but also the possibility of AI competing itself could be an option. I have already made a video on the possible impacts of AI in gaming, which you can watch here if you'd like. Today, the biggest esports games are played with a keyboard and a mouse or with a controller, but in the future there will be more esports played with a mobile device or with a virtual reality headset. VR could also be used for spectating. In the future, many leagues will probably in many ways resemble traditional sports leagues, where teams must travel to each other's hometowns to play. For example, Blizzard is trying to develop Overwatch League in this direction. Currently, all its matches are still played in the same place, in the Blizzard Arena. In addition, many countries will probably take note of South Korea's esports scene, which is in many ways miles ahead of the rest of the world. South Korea has the longest history in this sport. KESPA, their esports organization, was founded already in the year 2000. In the near future, esports could be seen alongside traditional sports in big traditional sporting events. For example, in a way, the first event in the 2018 Winter Olympics was a StarCraft 2 match. We even might see esports in the Tokyo 2020 Summer Olympics. Also, traditional sports clubs like Manchester City and Philadelphia 76ers are dipping their toes into the industry by buying esports teams. This all shows how esports is being recognized as a sport to be serious about. In conclusion, esports has already disrupted sports in a big way and will continue to grow to be a worldwide phenomenon. But now, you can tell me in the comments where you see esports 10 years from now. Also, leave a thumbs up if the video taught you something new or you found it thought-provoking. Also, subscribe for more videos on gaming related topics. That was all. Thanks for watching. See you next time.